So like I said, with these FAQ videos, you know, some of them are going to be quite short, and I think this is going to be quite a short one. But what is the best tank in TBC? Now, I get asked that all the time. And now I know, you know, I've not raided as a warrior, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know the ins and outs of all three tanks. I know the ins and outs of two of them, but yeah, as I say, warrior, not so much. But I do know some top-end warriors. You've seen Warrior TSW, for example, a big warrior tank in the private server community. You know, you've seen him on this channel. My information's coming directly from him from when we've done a podcast and stuff like that. And also I had a really good chat about all three tanks with a guy called Nox. That's quite an old video on the channel, but still really informative. I just want to give you my answers. When people ask me on Twitch, Scottejaye87 by the way, streaming pretty much every night, so make sure you come give me a follow, links in the description below. This is my answer when it comes to best tank. All of them. Thanks for watching. No, I'm only kidding. So look, the reason I say all of them are strong in certain situations. So there is no, I wouldn't say there is not one number one tank out of the three. Now, I think warrior, if we was just to go through all three of them really briefly, and then I might go into a little bit more detail on certain aspects. You've got warrior, really, really strong. And again, quoting some bits from the podcast, you know, you can pretty much get your crit immunity just from questing in Neverstorm. So, you know, by the time you ding 70, you're pretty much ready to go. You know, they've got really good threat, really good mitigation, you know, with like shield block and things like that, you know, being able to get uncrushable large portions of the fight, let's say. They fall down a little bit, I would say, when it comes to like ability to off tank. So your warrior is your typical main tank. We know that from obviously Classic. And the reason I say that is because, you know, if you're off tanking and you're trying to generate rage, you're not going to be fury tanking in TBC. You will be full prot. So trying to get rage to get threat, if the boss is not tauntable, that's the only downside I would say. That could be quite challenging. And the thing with warriors as well is you're only going to want one. As I said, because of the off tanking downfalls, you're not going to want two warrior tanks tanking together, or I wouldn't. Then you've got, and their cooldowns as well, obviously, like Shield Wall, you know, Last Stand. They've got those big chunky cooldowns that the other classes, you know, may lack, which that can literally save a wipe. You know, having Shield Wall in at the right time, let's say your healer's got silenced or something like that, you can literally prevent a wipe. So I think a warrior is an all-round strong tank. Good threat, good mitigation, everything you need. But then if we look at the Paladin, so the Paladin is the ultimate AoE tank. It's as simple as that. Really good mitigation, really easy to get uncrushable as a Paladin. Getting crit immune as a Paladin, I would say, is slightly more difficult than as a warrior, because you might be losing defense from your weapon because you're using a spell power weapon. You know, you might be trying to get bits of spell power in places where you could essentially get defense. But then you're probably going to go early on for like the Righteous set, which is amazing. You know, you get your defense and your spell power and stuff like that. You know, everything that you need. That set's worthwhile getting early on. That's the dungeon set, by the way. But they bring things to the raid that you're going to want. You know, I don't want to state the obvious, but like blessings, you know, you're going to want 3 or 4 blessings in the raid group probably. Well, let's say 3, you know, 3-ish is comfortable. And then they bring, you know, another seal to judge. So if you're going to have a rep paladin in the group, we're talking mainly 25 man now. But, you know, if you've got a rep paladin judgment striking to keep all of the judged seals up, then obviously, yeah, you've got another light, a wisdom, you know, whatever you need to keep on the boss. You've obviously got bubble, so you can, you know, reset stacks on certain things if you need to using, you know, a Cancelora macro. So it gives you the ability, and quoting Dr. Cow, you know, it gives you the ability to do things like solo tanking Zola Man, for example. You know, you're going to be the only tank that can do that, and it is purely because you can reset stacks without needing a second tank. So Paladins, I would say, are stronger in the smaller group. You know, great off tanks and even main tanks on some fights in 25 man. I think 10 man and 5 man heroics is where they reign supreme. You know, in a 5 man heroic, having a prop paladin is amazing. You will carry groups quite literally, especially if you've got a warlock or 2 warlocks with you as well, spamming seed. They're gonna love you. And as I say, in 10 man, really strong. You know, you can have prop paladins tank the vast majority of Karazhan and Zolaman on their own. So I think that's where their strength really is. But they are perfectly viable to main tank as well. So like I say, I'm really giving you the big differences between the 3, rather than saying, oh no, this one has to be a main tank, this one has to be an off tank. I think the only extreme that I would say there is the warrior shouldn't ever be an off tank, my opinion. I mean, the Paladin being an off tank is not ideal, you know, because if you're not taking damage, you're not getting healed, so you're not getting spiritual attunement giving you mana back. But whereas Feral, moving on to Feral, they're quite literally, they're amazing, and I think end game you're going to see probably more, so I'm talking Sunwell Plateau, you'll see more druid tanks than warrior tanks. I mean, all guilds are going to differ, don't get me wrong, but the strength of a feral druid obviously is the fact that they can build tons of threat when they're not actually tanking the mob, because they're not going to be starved. You know, they could technically go cat. If they can really pump out some damage, they might even be able to catch the main tank up just in cat form. Not saying that's the right way to go, you're probably not, you're going to stay in bear, but it gives you those options. You can do that a lot more comfortably as a druid, and obviously you get armor capped so early. Like, you know, you can get crazy amounts of armor as a druid really early on. They're strong tanks early on, but they're strong all the way through. You're going to get crazy amounts of health, obviously, as well as a druid. I think the only place where they fall down a fair bit is lack of cooldowns, which is not a massive issue, but also needing to power shift to use consumables still. So again, do it in between boss swings, but this now takes the skill level to tank as a druid up a notch, I would say. You know, because you don't want to power shift and use a health pot or a health stone and get caught out in human form and get clapped in the face. Probably not going to be ideal. But their strength, you would want, if you were talking 10-man, having the off-tank as a druid, basically, in 10-man, your druid would be in full DPS gear the majority of the time. Because, you know, you're not going to be tanking a great deal, and your DPS gear will probably be enough to carry you through. You might want to get crit immune, depends on the boss, obviously, but you have that flexibility. If you've got, we'll use a prot paladin and a feral druid, we'll say, are the tanks in a 10-man, then the druid can, you know, only tank when absolutely required, but your group's not now losing the damage by having a prot warrior there instead. So if it's a prot warrior and a prot paladin, for me, that wouldn't be ideal in a 10-man. And then in 25, let's say you did have a prot paladin and a prot warrior, then your third tank as a druid can DPS when he's not needed to do anything else. I think druids are probably my favoured tank, not one I enjoy playing. I prefer to play prot paladin, actually, out of all three. It's probably the only tank I enjoy playing. But having that feral, every guild's going to want a feral tank, maybe two. As I say, you could, in my opinion, don't shoot me down, you could drop the prot warrior and just run two ferals and a prot paladin, for example. And then obviously you'll have your other warriors when needs be. If you need them to tank, they'll respec prot, you know, or you know, if you had another druid or you had another paladin, whatever, you know, if you needed more than just the three tanks, then, you know, you just get somebody else to fill in. But you could quite comfortably run three main tanks without a warrior. But that's not to say, as I say, a warrior is a solid main tank option. And that's why it's quite difficult making this video, because I know I could quite easily upset any one of you three classes, because they genuinely are all strong. It's hard to pick which one is best. But if right now this is the end of the video, so if I had to name them in order of what I would play or what I would want in a raid, it would be feral tank number 1, then prot paladin, then prot warrior. But please, warriors, don't hate on me, because I've already said you're probably the best all-rounder, strong main tank, but it is just that off-tanking bit, and the fact that a good druid probably will take less damage unless it's sort of spell damage, or if you can get feared. Spell damage, or if you can get feared, you know, because you do lose the stance dancing of the warrior, spell reflect from a warrior, you know, the general damage reduction for things that are not just physical attacks. Again, don't hate on me, just thought I'd put it out there. This is a question that I get asked all the time on the stream. Next video I'm going to do is going to be which is the best PvE DPS. That's going to be interesting, because that's really going to split the audience. But thanks as always, guys. Obviously, make sure you like, subscribe, check out the giveaway, follow me over on Twitch, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.